What's up, everybody? Another video. Did you guys see the intro though? Just in case you guys missed it, let me play that shit one more time. Anyways, do you guys want to see that shit one more time? All right, one more time, just because I really like it. Let's watch it one more time. I'm just kidding. I really like it. I think it goes nice for the meantime. I'm sure I'm going to switch up later. Anyways, what I have to show you guys today is how to shave off a couple of holes in a fiberglass trunk. I'm going to prep it and spray it. First thing I'm going to do is remove the trunk completely. I'll show you guys in there. I already put the car inside, so let's get to that. All right, this is the Mustang. This is going to be the trunk. It has a couple holes from the previous wing. And water keeps getting into it. So what I'm going to do is take these bolts out, and there's a few inside here. So I'm going to detach the wing, the light, the plates. I'm going to detach the trunk completely and have everything naked. And then I'll show you guys how to grind everything up, what I'm going to be using to fill these up, and then go ahead and prep it and spray it. Follow the homie, GT2V, whatever. Anyways, let me show you what he has inside. I like the inside. Nothing crazy, nothing over the top, but it is kind of cute. He's got some carbon fiber accents into it. I'm a fan of carbon fiber, so not bad, pretty clean. Not a fan of Mustangs, but I can appreciate a clean one. So all right, let's get to this. Let me show you guys what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna remove the trunk. I gotta take off these struts, take it off the hinges, detach all the wires and connections, and then be able to pull it off, and then I'll throw the car outside and then work on the trunk. All right, some of the tools I'm gonna be using: drills, something to pry off the clips. I got like an 8, a 10, a 12, a 13, and flatheads. All right, so for whenever you're working on a car and you're prepping it for paint, it's best to have the panel as completely stripped as possible. For this trunk, it's just gonna be the emblems and a couple bolts, nothing crazy. But if you have like a door or something where it has mirrors, door handles, and trims, go ahead and take it off. It makes for easier repair and easy to spray. All right, I removed the trunk. I set it aside. Everything I took apart, nuts and bolts, are in this little bag just to make sure I don't lose it. We don't need the car inside anymore, so we'll go ahead and pull it out and work on the trunk. All right, so now to remove the badges, I'm using a heat gun. If you don't have a heat gun, just leave it out in the sun for about an hour. Let the 3M tape loosen up. That way you can peel it off. If you just mask it and spray around it, paint's most likely going to chip from areas you don't prep, which is underneath the badge. So always remove the badge if you get a chance. Again, if you don't have a heat gun, just leave it out in the sun. When you debadge something, it'll still have some residue of the glue or the 3M left. Even if you sand it away, you'll still be able to see these ridges. What I like to use is it's an adhesive remover. This is the part number for it. If you guys want to grab it, there's really good stuff. It removes decals, 3M tape that's left over. If you go ahead and spray over this, it's going to leave a weird surface on top, and the paint's going to look like shit. So when you go and you throw on the badge, it's going to be all uneven. So best thing to do is remove everything and make sure everything is flat. That way you can just prep it and spray it. So all you got to do is throw a little bit of this on the actual panel itself, or you can throw it on the rag. It doesn't matter. I like to do both. First coat, just let it sit, and it's just like, feels like water. It's no glue or anything. It's not even oily. So I'm just gonna do this a couple times and then completely remove it with the rag, and then go ahead and start shaving the holes. It's pretty flat. I think this is just dirt, or I think this is just fadedness or something, but when I go ahead and sand it, it should be straight and you won't be able to see the circles. So we'll go ahead and do this one and then jump over to the holes. So I'm just gonna fill this up with fiberglass, cover it up from the inside so it doesn't just keep pouring out, and then just do a little bit of the body work and then just prep everything else for paint. I do have to primer this. Always primer any body work that you do. You don't have to primer new parts. People will just throw primer on top of new parts. You should throw sealer on top. So there's like 20 different types of grinders. I don't even know what this one is, but it will grind and do the job. So that's pretty much it. Let's go on to this one. Ta-da. So now I'm just gonna grab a piece of tape and then cover it up from the inside. Let me see if you guys can see. No tape, tape. Okay, I'm gonna do the other side as well, and then I'll show you guys what I'm gonna use to fill it up. All right, so for this, I'm gonna use this shit. I hate this brand, but with good prep, you could use any brand. I just ran out of the good brand due to the whole coronavirus thing. I can't get the one I have, so we had this lying around. It'll do the job. For if it was a bigger project or something, I wouldn't use it because we're just filling in a hole. Now, if it was cracked, I would use fiberglass and resin and the matting, but since we're just filling in a little hole, this will do. It's more than enough. I don't need that much. What this is like Bondo on steroids. It's called kitty hair, Bondo glass, whatever. I'm just gonna make a little bit of it. You gotta put some hardener to it. There. You careful not to make too much hardener just because it'll dry up really fast. I got my spreader. I'm trying to mix this while holding the camera. It's gonna be a little hard, but you want to mix it until you get the same consistent color. You see it's still green and blue. Keep mixing it until it gets a solid one color.
You pick up the spread. You pick up the spread.
Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's start getting a little by little, and then we're gonna go ahead and fill it. Now, first thing you want to do is you want to press it in to make sure it goes in. Let me see if I can get the camera. Make sure it's packed in there, and then you're just gonna fill the top. I think that's pretty good. Now let's do the other side. Again, pack it in. I'm trying to do this while looking through the camera, so I'm not even actually looking at the panel, which is really hard. Once it's pressed in, then you just want to level out the surface to be able to just use very minimal Bondo. I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna let this sit for about 15 minutes, make sure it gets nice and hard. Then I'll take off the tape from underneath, and then I'll be able to sand this down, smoothing it out, probably throw one layer of Bondo, then primer, and then prep the rest for paint. So right here, I'm using an 80 grit and a block. If you're gonna be doing any type of body work, I highly recommend you use blocks. Your body work will come out way straighter than as to using your hand. All right, I got everything sanded pretty straight. This probably only needs one layer of Bondo. So I'll show you guys how to make Bondo and apply it on another video, but for now, we're just gonna go ahead and mix this one up and then spread it and then be able to sand it. We're just gonna apply it here. Just gonna spread it nice and even, as flat as possible. That looks pretty good. Nothing much to it. Now I just gotta wait for this to dry and then block it down with 80 grit and then finish it off with probably 180 or 120, and then go ahead and mask the area up for primer and then prep and paint. So again, I grabbed 80 grit and a block and I'm just sanding away. This is something that takes patience. Don't just, if you see that there's a high side, don't just sand that high spot. You gotta sand everything as even as possible, and eventually everything will be flat. So go more for feel than look. It feels pretty straight. These are ready for primer now, so I'm gonna go throw this in the booth, set it up, mask the area around, and then primer it, and I'll walk you guys through that. I like to use PCL. It's poly primer. It's a 2K primer, meaning this does require a hardener to harden, obviously, and dry. They give you the little hardener with it, but we only need just a little bit, so let me see what I can do to pour just a tad bit out. Right about. That's more than enough. And then we're gonna go ahead and throw some hardener in it. That's pretty good. And then I need some reducer. There we go. I'm gonna mix this up, throw it in my gun, and then spray a couple coats, enough to cover up some of the scratches, and then block it down once it's dry. Here's how I mask it. People will complain, oh my god, your lines are too straight. You're supposed to like flare them out, but I know what I'm doing. I know how to block it down very quick. I'm not saying the people who do flare it out don't know what they're doing, but I just don't. There's other ways to go about it. Anyway, so I'm just gonna primer this area. You want to mask till you see the last scratch. Hopefully the camera can pick it up, and then some, just to give you more than enough room. I've had instances where I masked it off halfway, and then when I removed the tape, there's still some scratches, so I had to re-primer it. So always give yourself some extra room, and then just to be on the safe side. So I'm just gonna go ahead and spray, kind of with low pressure, but that's one pass there. All right, so right here you can see some of the Bondo and some of the scratches. So we're gonna spray a little bit more, just so it's well covered, nice and even. Let's go on to this side as well. You can see the Bondo and then some scratches. There we go. That should be it. Now we gotta wait for this to dry and then block it down. Primer is nice and dry. Everything is pretty straight. You're gonna have a block with 400 grit. Start off with 100 grit, 400 grit, and water. The reason why I like water on primer is because primer will get stuck in the sandpaper and clog it up. But with water, it somehow just slides right off and you're able to use the sandpaper a lot more efficient. So let me put this on time lapse. I'm gonna just block this down with water and get it down to straight. Once we're done with that, it's gonna end up looking like that. And then we're gonna go ahead and probably spot putty for the deeper scratches, and then go ahead and prep the rest for paint. Remember, anything you do with bodywork, whether it's Bondo, kitty hair, or primer, always use a block. Your bodywork will always 10 times come out straighter as opposed to anything else. So get used to the block, love the block, be the block. All right, so now that it's been blocked and ready to go, we're gonna prep the entire trunk now. What I'm gonna be using is a gray scuff pad. This is equivalent to like a 600 grit, and again, in my previous video, I used this. It helps to prep the area faster and degrease it at the same time. So I'm gonna apply some cream and use a lot of water and then scrub it down with the scuff pad. And then this should be the last step into prepping it right before we get into the booth to start spraying. All right, so with the scuff pad, again, just sand everything down evenly, use a lot of water until it gets the more soapy it gets, the better it cuts. Just make sure to get into all the curves, all the little spots a block or a DA won't be able to get into, and then just rinse it off once you're finished and you should be ready to go. All right, this is gonna be the final rinse. All you gotta do is rinse it down with water. Make sure you don't leave any spots that haven't been sanded, or else the paint will peel from there. Everything's dried up. I was gonna use spot putty, but these scratches aren't that deep. So what I am gonna use is this Transtar. That's the part number 4603. There's a 2-in-1 primer. It's a thinner primer than what I used. It's really good for last minute or final coating right before you throw it in the booth for paint. So all I'm gonna do is add like about a coat or two, and then we should be good. That's fine. Over here. That looks pretty good. Now these scratches, the little minor ones that did show, will be covered up with this. And then on top of this, I'm gonna prep this down a little bit with 320 or 400 grit, and then throw sealer and then the base coat and clear coat. So this is definitely gonna get sealed up and you will not see any scratches in the future. All right, it dried up. I'm gonna be using another gray scuff pad just to smoothen out and prep the area for paint. Nothing too crazy, it's already prepped. So all right, we're just gonna throw it in the booth, set it up, mask everything up, and start spraying. All right, so I got it in the booth. I love this stand. I could flip it, extend it, rotate it, kind of like your dad. I did spray that bumper earlier today, so there's other shit I'm doing in between this video that I'm not, this video is just for this trunk, but I did spray this G35 bumper. It's poly, came out beautiful. I'm gonna pull that out and then prep this. This isn't gonna be painted, so I'm just gonna mask it off in here. It is 2 parts, so I'm able to tuck some paper in there. And that way we avoid painting this. I don't need to paint this, this is fine. This is the main part we're gonna have to spray. So let's mask this up and then start shooting it up. So what I like to do first is mask everything off with tape, line it up, and then I follow it through with some paper. I will be jamming this trunk. Jamming means you cover and you tape up from the inside out. That way no overspray goes through or doesn't land on any interior pieces that are still inside of the trunk. It makes for a cleaner job overall, and you don't have to wipe things down later. So it takes longer to prep it like this, but it's well worth the result, and in the end you save some time. So okay, here's a helpful tip. Between base coats, this is after 2 layers. I'm gonna block it down with 600 just to make sure the surface is straight and flat. If you happen to get any little dust particles or anything, now's the time to get it out. I should be just throwing 1 more coat of base coat and it should be straight. So after this, we're just gonna throw about 3 to 4 layers of clear coat, and then we should be done. Alright, I'm gonna end the vlog here. My job is done. I'm tired. I gotta go home, get my beauty sleep. If you guys like the video, I'm working on everything else. Subscribe, like, comment. Let me know what you guys want me to do. Other than that, have a good night. Bye.